Welcome to my first review in my new YouTube book review channel, My Summer Reading List, which has taken a little bit longer to get set up than I wanted, but then fine, at least I'm kind of in a position to really kind of start now. So background here is, my name's Gary, I'm a journalist, freelance copywriter, TESOL teacher, who is temporarily, currently living out in sunny Spain. It has been stupid sunny last few weeks. Oh my goodness! But weather broke a bit last night. We had a crazy storm, and it was in my room. I could because I had the kind of window open for the cat to come in and out, and the electrical storm was zooming away over there. It was like artillery. In the next valley. It was pretty spooky. Got pretty drenched, but it was kind of fun too. So anyway, my project here, just to remind you, is that I have come out of Spain. I've got a gigantic TBR pile. I think it's about 100 books. I think I got to 94 that I knew were mine, and then I got a few more dumped on me when people heard what it was about. So, and you know, to be fair, if someone lends you a book, you should try and read it at least. The idea is that I'm going to try and get through the TBR pile. I used to be a ferocious reader and omnivorous, liked all sorts of things, read, I don't know man, you know, a couple of books a week properly back in the day, maybe like you, and various reasons that's kind of you know, come and gone. And social media and life and what have you, just turning off the mail kind of thing. Anyway, so my basic plan here is that, and I'm doing this one inside the casita kind of thing. We may or may not see Effie the cat, who is going through a phase of being very, very, very demanding, but she's a cat. People told me about all the kind of heat problems about moving a cat to Spain. They didn't tell me about cat sociology and the whole kind of business of cats and hierarchies and feral cats in Spain and what have you. Oh my goodness. Anyway. So I've got an intro video up, which you can go back and look to as well. I'm going to try and do the kind of, you know, the annoying like and subscribe thing to the minimum. I've got to actually give you some content to judge me if you want to kind of follow me anyway, right? So here's some content, right? So the first book, and the format for my reviews is going to be this, right? I'm going to give you the book title. I'm going to give you my 5 stars out of 5 stars very quickly. Now the idea here is that if you want to bail, I would never read that book. I'm not interested in that genre. I don't know that guy. Who cares what he thinks? Fine, right? So you can jump out and you don't have to listen to the rest. For the people who are interested, I'll then give a more in-depth review, and I'll try and triage what I'm doing with these books, right? So basically, books now I'm going to keep. I mean, genuinely keep, you know, forever, wherever I move. Recycle to the extent of I will pass on to friends who I think might be interested in them. And or donate, though the whole kind of second-hand book market is really not anything like it used to be. And I did try a bit of Ziffit, you know, back in the UK when I was moving, and I got something out of it, but it's a little bit sad that you think these books, it'd be nice if they actually had a proper home, but that's me. I'm very sentimental about books. I love books. I love book design. I love book fonts. I love book furniture. I love the look and feel and smell of a book, and I've got to make no bones about that. I'm not ashamed of that. I'm a book guy, right? So anyway, this is the book I want to talk about today. It's I read quite a lot about. It's a long-standing kind of life interest of mine, the Holocaust. For whatever reason, I've got no family connection to the Holocaust. That wasn't part of my background either side, you could say. But I just find it a subject of great interest, ethical interest, historical interest, psychological interest, I guess, existential interest, perhaps. So This is a book, The Ravine by Wendy Lower. And I'm holding it up because I hope you can see the kind of central, that the cover really is the book, because it's obscured because it would be too grim an image otherwise. But what you're seeing here is some uniformed perpetrators shooting. In fact, it turns out to be a mum and two children, and she's on the brink of an open grave and she's toppling in, and evidence suggests that the dad has just been shot, and etc. I mean, horrific. The whole horror, right, of the Holocaust by bullets. Now, my 5 stars on this is going to be 3 out of 5, and I would say I would not particularly need to read this again, and I'll be quite happy to pass it on. And I'll tell you why. There's no fault in the book. The book is a great. In kind of Holocaust studies, we have this interesting and fruitful kind of line of research now, where we've gone from the whole kind of top down. The German report says this, the Germans said this, the Nazis said this, this is what must have happened. And that's a level of detail and fact that's very important. But now we have an idea of bottom-up historiography, where we have, well, what was it actually like on the day? What do we know really about the actual events? But essentially, it's one thing to say 12,000 people were shot that day. That's a very long way from the lived experience, the sights and the smells and the horror and the human experience of that from every side, right? So we have the perpetrators, we've got the bystanders, the collaborators, the planners, the shooters, etc., etc. So what's particularly interesting about this one is that Wendy, who I believe is associated with the US Holocaust Museum, which is an amazing place and well worth a visit should you ever find yourself in that part of Washington DC, has done a great, as it says, a compelling detective novel. She's found some photography, some imagery was captured by a Croatian guy who himself is quite interesting about, Nazis had lots of collaborators, fellow travellers, allies. It looks like this guy wasn't a criminal, evil perpetrator. He was a bystander, and he took these photographs, which was a bit risky. And there's an interesting story about what happened to the photographs and him and all that kind of stuff. But the centre of the book is, now I'll go back to the cover. These guys who are coloured sort of green there, they're not SS, okay? They're not even Ukrainians. They're not any of the kind of normal killers. They were German customs officials who just for a laugh decided to shoot some Jews that day in a particular part of Ukraine. So that's interesting in itself, because it's really shows the kind of complexity of the cast of characters in the Holocaust, and especially the Holocaust by bullets, right? The shootings in Eastern Europe and Poland, the Baltics, Ukraine, Belarusia, Russia, as a result of the Operation Barbarossa. Okay, so and what Wendy tries to do, the author tries to do, is she wants to humanise these people. She really does a lot of really good work, going back to the village in Ukraine, which is interesting in itself, of course, and tracking down who she thinks he's found. She doesn't really, no spoiler, she doesn't really establish to her own conviction and ours that she has found the right family, but the point is that she tried. And all that's really interesting. And she does some great work about the phenomenology of the event, of the picture, and what the pictures says to us. And that almost reminded me a little bit of Roland Barthes in that section. I mean, she's really, and Susan Sontag, right? Interesting writers, philosophers thinking about photography and what is photography and what truth or not is being captured in image. And that's great. That was really interesting. And she goes into the history of the Holocaust in that part of Ukraine, and there's quite interesting aftermath stuff. The USSR authorities investigated this twice, once just after the war and once much later in the 80s, and I didn't know that they were so dogged in pursuing this kind of criminality, and I thought that was kind of interesting. And so there's some great research, there's some great analysis, there's some great facts. There's nothing wrong with the book. I think the book the impact is lessened after the first very shocking third half, which is all about the photographs and what they represent and what was happening there and what we find out about that. That's really. Then the book, as the book kind of becomes more about the aftermath and the trials and the work she does in terms of trying to track down survivors and etc. Sorry, I inadvertently hit in making my gesture. I banged the space bar, so I froze a little bit. So I'm going to stitch these two together. But anyway, so okay, so that's all very interesting, and it genuinely is, and she's done a great job. It's less compelling than other similar books I've read. The focus on the one event I think is justified, and I think she's done a great job. It's just I wouldn't feel. Perhaps I wanted wider scope. Perhaps I wanted a bigger comparison. But I think this deep mining was very important. It was useful. It's worth a read. It's great. But it by its very nature of investigating one afternoon, 1 minute in the course of the events, that's what you get, right? I would say if you were interested in that part of history, if you've got a family connection to that part of history and that kind of that part of Europe and all that kind of stuff, that's very much this would be of great interest. I think for the general reader, you might find essentially the horror too much, which is fine. I mean, yes, of course, it's absolutely not everyone's cup of tea reading about this kind of stuff. For me, I would say, like I said, 3 out of 5. Interesting, compelling, moving, but it was a one read. I wouldn't want to read it again, and I'm happy to pass it on. So I guess I do have to say now, if that was useful or interesting and you want to carry on seeing my reviews and me working through my ridiculous... And actually, by the way, the TBR pile is just the local TBR pile. It's not the universal TBR pile, which is in various storage units and attics in the UK, right, kind of thing. But this is where I guess I say, would you like to like and subscribe? Would you like to carry on seeing these? Would you like to find out what might be useful for you to create your own summer reading list? And hopefully I've inspired you to want to kind of carry on, get back into the habit of reading yourself. One thing I said in my intro video is that I don't want any book recommendations, and I was being semi-serious because I really don't want to buy any books for a while. I really need to work my way through some of these. But obviously, if you've got a different view on the book, or you think there's a better book that I should look at, or what have you, I'm very happy to have a dialogue about that. Leave your comments there. I'm also going to be a little bit cheeky, I suppose, and I'm going to include an Amazon affiliate link. And if you feel inspired to buy this book through me, then if you buy it and click on my link, I guess I'll get a few pennies, and you still get the book. Whatever, up to you, right? Okay, so there we go. That's my first review, my first proper review. Sorry, I'm gonna have to put 2 videos together to make it work. I'm sure you understand. And like and subscribe. I'm Gary. See you next time. Probably tomorrow. I've got another book that I've recently finished I'd like to share. Okay, great. Well, thanks very much, and get reading.